This is a story from Indore. A train was parked at the railway yard in Indore and it was being cleaned. The train had some time before it was scheduled to depart. While the cleaning staff were going about their work, one of the workers noticed a sack under a train seat. When he saw the sack, he pulled it out, and to his shock, he noticed blood stains on it. Terrified at the sight, he immediately informed the railway police. The police arrived quickly at the scene. When they opened the sack, everyone around was stunned and horrified. It contained the body of a woman. However, the woman's head was missing, along with both her hands and feet. The police officers and cleaning staff who saw the body were deeply shocked and disturbed. Everyone was wondering who could have committed such a brutal crime and why someone would kill a woman in such a horrific way. The body was then taken to a government hospital, and a legal case file was officially registered. The police began their investigation, but they had no leads. The woman's face was missing. Her hands were gone, so there were no fingerprints or facial features to identify her. There were no identifiable marks or clues on her body either that could reveal who she was or where she came from. At that point, the police were left with only one major question: how would they find the killer? But even before that, they faced an even bigger question: who was this woman? They didn't have a single clue about her identity. On June 8, 2024, a body was found by the police. Now we come to June 10th, which was a Monday. At Rishish railway station, a train was standing and it was being cleaned. While cleaning the train, a sanitation worker looked under a seat and saw a sack lying there. When he pulled out the sack, he quickly called the police. When the police arrived and opened the sack, they found 2 hands and 2 legs and 1 head inside. The police then sent the remains to a government hospital and filed a case. Now the distance between Indore and Rishish is about 1,000 km. A woman's dismembered body without hands, legs, or head was found in a sack on a train in Indore. Then in Rishish, a sack was found in a train with 2 hands, 2 legs, and a head, suggesting a possible connection across that 1,000 km span. Now on both June 8th and June 10th, body parts were found in different locations from different trains. The railway officials and police in Rishish had no idea that a similar incident had occurred in Indore. Likewise, the Indore railway authorities had no knowledge that something similar had happened in Rishish. Both cities' railway police were completely unaware of each other's incidents. However, the fact remained that an investigation had to be carried out to determine whose limbs these were and who had left them. The railway police in Rishish started looking into the matter within their jurisdiction. Eventually, this news reached Indore. When the Indore railway police learned about the Rishish incident, they got in touch with Rishish police. Rishish police informed them that they had found 2 hands, 2 legs, and a head. Indore police then told them that they had found a woman's body, but it was missing the head, hands, and legs. This led them to believe that the limbs found in Rishish might belong to the woman whose other body parts were found in the train in Indore. Then the Indore railway police and the Rishish railway police gathered all the body parts in one place and confirmed that they belonged to the same person. It became clear that the body parts found in Indore and those found in Rishish were from the same woman. Now the police had a very complicated case on their hands. They needed to find out who the woman was, why she boarded the train, where she was headed, whether she was killed while on the train, or if her body was brought onto the train after her murder. And if someone did murder her in Indore or elsewhere, why were some of her body parts found in Rishish? These were all questions the police needed to answer. The first thing the police discovered was that the train from which the body parts were found in Rishish did not go to Indore. That train went to Ujjain. So even if someone placed body parts on that train, it couldn't have been done in Indore because that train doesn't stop there. Yet when the body parts found in Indore and Rishish were placed together, they clearly belonged to the same woman. This raised the question: how did parts of the same woman end up on 2 completely different trains? Trains that don't even intersect. So the police investigated the routes of both trains. They found out that the train going to Indore passed through Ujjain, and the train from Rishish also passed through Ujjain. The only connection between the 2 trains was that they both went through Ujjain. There was no other link. Now the police had to rely solely on this one connection for the entire investigation. When the police began their investigation and saw the body in the garden, they noticed that one of the arms had a tattoo. The tattoo had names written on it, 2 names. One was Mira and the other was Gopal. The police started considering that the woman who had been murdered might have had a husband named Gopal, and her own name could be Mira. They also noticed that both train connections were linked to Ujjain. They thought that if they focused on Ujjain and nearby areas, they might learn more about her. While investigating, one day the police learned from some local officers that there is a tradition in the areas around Ujjain where women get their brother's name tattooed on their hand. Upon learning this, the the police decided to investigate further and look for regions where this tradition is practiced. They estimated that Mira was likely the victim's name and Gopal could be her brother's name. Based on this theory, the police resumed their investigation and started searching across different areas, especially near the Gujarat border, where this practice of tattooing a brother's name on one's hand was common. The police then visited various localities and went door to door asking if any woman from that household or neighborhood was missing. After a lot of effort, the police finally got a breakthrough. One day, a man approached the police and told them that his wife went missing. He said that on June 6th, he had a big argument with his wife, and in anger, she left the house that day. He thought that once she calmed down, she would return home, so he waited for her, but she never came back. Eventually, he went to file a missing person report, and on June 7th, he officially reported that his wife was missing. On June 8th, a woman's body part was found for the first time on a train in Indore. Then on June 10th, more body parts of a woman were found in Rishikesh. Now the police had all this information. The woman's name was Mira, and the man who filed the report was her husband. They lived on the border of Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. Police investigations revealed that since Mira went missing, her husband had been seen continuously in the village. He hadn't left town, hadn't gone to any train station, and no one saw him traveling or behaving suspiciously in any way. So the police had no reason to suspect that he had murdered his wife. The real question for the police was who had cut the woman's body into parts and placed some in a train in Indore and others in a train in Rishikesh. All these clues pointed to Ujjain. So the police decided to go to Ujjain hopping to find some evidence. Once at the Ujjain railway station, they reviewed the CCTV footage from June 6th and June 7th, the dates the husband had mentioned when the fight occurred, and the missing report was filed. When the police were checking the CCTV footage, they saw in the footage from June 7th that Mira appeared on one of the cameras. She was with a man. However, when the police checked other CCTV cameras outside the railway station, they didn't find any additional footage. The only footage they found was of Mira coming out of Ujjain railway station with a man. So the police started trying to find out who this man was. They asked people around the area, and someone told them the man's name was Kamlesh Patel, who worked there in catering. Then the police tracked Kamlesh down, picked him up, and brought him to the police station for questioning. Kamlesh said, "I didn't even know that woman. She looked very disturbed and told me she had come to a new city, so I was just helping her." He added that after they exited the station, he didn't know where she went because he went back to work. The police felt that Kamlesh might be telling the truth because after that one CCTV footage, there were no other images of Kamlesh and Mira together. The police checked everything they could but didn't find any evidence that could lead them to the killer. Then the police thought, what should we do now? Suddenly, they decided, okay, let's search Kamlesh's house. Maybe we'll find something if Mira had stayed there. So the police went to Kamlesh's house and searched the entire place, but they didn't find even a single clue. As the police were returning from Kamlesh's house, they saw a woman sitting outside the door. The police asked Kamlesh who she was, and he replied, "She is my wife." As soon as the police began questioning her, she started making gestures because Kamlesh's wife was deaf and mute. She couldn't speak or hear. The police suspected that if Kamlesh had any connection with Mira, or if he had brought her to his house that day, there would be only one person who might know, Kamlesh's wife. But she couldn't speak or hear, so how could she tell them anything? The police were about to leave, thinking it wouldn't be possible to question her. But then they realized that people who can't speak or hear have their own language, sign language. And to understand it, someone who is an expert in sign language would be needed to interpret what she was trying to say. So the officer had an idea and instructed nearby police teams to find someone in Ujjain who was an expert in sign language and could understand people who are deaf and mute. Eventually, the police found such an expert. The sign language expert sat in front of Kamlesh's wife and asked her the questions that the police had prepared. For about 10 minutes, a conversation went on between the expert and Kamlesh's wife in sign language. The police couldn't understand any of it, but after 10 minutes, it was the expert's turn to explain everything to the officers. When the expert told the police what Kamlesh's wife had revealed, the officers were shocked to hear it. Kamlesh's wife said that on the night of June 7th, Kamlesh brought a woman home. "I served food to that woman and also ate myself. Kamlesh had mixed something in her food, a pill. After eating, I went to sleep, and so did the woman. I don't know what happened afterward. In the morning, I woke up, did my chores, and left for work. I work outside the home." Kamlesh's wife said that when she returned from work, she saw Kamlesh doing something to the woman he had brought home the night before. When she looked closely, she saw that he was cutting the woman with a sharp weapon. She said, "I was extremely frightened. I could never have imagined such a thing. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't even scream. I was terrified watching my husband kill a person like that. She continued, as I saw all this happening in front of me, I felt like life had left my body. I just sat there stunned. Kamlesh packed the woman's body parts into separate sacks right in front of me and then left the house. When the sign language expert explained all of this to the police, they quickly arrested Kamlesh and brought him to the police station. During interrogation, Kamlesh told the rest of the story. Kamlesh said, "While I was at work, a woman suddenly got off a train. She looked distressed and asked me something. I brought her out of the railway station. I realized that she had fought with her husband and had no one in this city. She didn't know anything about the area. I took advantage of the situation and brought her home. I gave her food laced with sleeping pills. When she became drowsy, I tried to assault her, but the pills hadn't fully taken effect. She resisted and I panicked, thinking, what if she told someone? So I strangled her and she died. Then I got scared. She was dead. What could I do now? I dismembered her body and packed the parts into bags. I wasn't afraid of my wife because I knew she couldn't speak or tell anyone." Kamlesh also confessed that this wasn't the first time he had brought women home and tried to force himself on them. Out of fear of social shame, the women had kept quiet. That's why he felt fearless. But this was the first time he had committed murder. To cover it up, he decided to dispose of the body. He said, "I took both bags to the railway station. 2 trains were there, one headed to Indore and the other to Rishish. I was placing the bags under the seats. One of the trains started moving quickly because it was time for it to leave the platform. I had no choice. So I placed one bag in the moving train and the other in the train next to it.